Welcome to the Maine Outdoor Enthusiast podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Mark.
So this week we're going to talk about how to find game when there isn't much for game, or how to find game when the game is scarce.
Yeah.
Which is, we got a lot of scarce game in northern Maine.
We do, yeah. Deer hunting has been that way for quite a few years.
Yeah.
So,
and it may be that the bird hunting's that way.
Yeah, we may be able to put that into practice this year.
This fall.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, speaking of bird hunting, we were just up in the woods.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so I don't know how many miles, Paul. We've been in the woods for 4 or 5 days. Not a lot, but 4 or 5, maybe 6 days total. Well, if you count up to the lake and stuff, checking trail cams, more than that.
More than that.
And how many birds have we seen?
Not a one.
Not one bird. Not one bird.
Not a one. And I was talking to a guy the other day who had done close to 200 miles, like fishing culverts up in the North Maine woods. Didn't see a bird.
Well, we've got, certainly we've got a lot more than 200 miles on, I think, in the woods, because when we were up there fishing, we traveled to
everywhere.
And from ponds.
Yep.
And we were
even yesterday we traveled.
We traveled a lot of miles yesterday. And that's was exactly 1 week before the season starts. And not a bird.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Not a rabbit, not a moose, not a deer, nothing.
Didn't see a thing.
No.
We'll still shoot birds. You're just going to have to.
Yeah. We will get birds. We always do. We always shoot some birds, but we may work a little harder for them.
It's going to be a little more of a tedious approach. So it's not all doom and gloom. But we did run into some pretty nice moose hunters.
Yep.
From Old Town.
From Old Town, yeah. Nice guys.
But they were up in northern Maine for the moose hunt.
Yeah.
And the woods were busy.
Yeah. It's
and they were hopping with moose
This
hunters.
will be certainly a busy week, first week of moose season.
Yeah.
High expectations. People are excited. And,
yeah. Well, this group from Old Town, though, that we were talking about how things have changed with the moose hunt up here as compared to years past. And he was kind of laughing. He was saying, years ago, what you would see, if you saw a nice bull, you'd be like, oh, he's like a Thursday.
Right.
Well, we'll hold off until Thursday. He's like, no, we're shooting now, first day.
Yeah, throwing lead.
The minute you see one.
If you see a legal moose, it's probably be a good idea if you took it.
Yeah.
So.
And it sounds like moose hunting, they've been pretty successful. They said 3 of the past 4 years.
Yeah.
They've shot moose.
Yeah.
So first of all, getting drawn for a moose permit.
Very difficult.
Is tough in itself. And then, being successful.
Right.
75% of the time.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. So yeah, we were up in the woods we put a camper up there in October.
Yeah.
For the month to bird hunt out of. The kids really like it. I was kind of contemplating this year not doing it because it's a lot of work. And
it is a lot of work for you, Paul.
Yeah, we deer hunt less up there.
Yeah.
And
for the amount of time we get to use it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You don't get a lot of days, especially. And
no, but the kids really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been a tradition now.
Right.
Of like,
they look forward to it.
Because we'll go in when I get done work. So it's usually dark. And Lydia is just like, I just can't wait to go in the dark and look at the stars.
Yeah.
As we drive in. And she's already reminiscing about past bird hunting seasons of us doing that.
So that in itself is worth it. And we talk about when game is scarce in certain years, but there's always, you just enjoy being out, and it's an opportunity to spend time with your family and friends. And so that in itself, we all want to be successful and shoot game, but that in itself is a win.
Worth the trip.
Right. Just to be with it and get out. And we all enjoy being outdoors. So,
yeah. So I'm off next Wednesday and Thursday, and we were going to go up. I'm like, well, maybe we'll just go up Wednesday morning. And she's like, no, I want to get my pajamas on and do the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
when Tuesday night and
like,
all right, sure. We can do that.
You're a good dad because after getting out of work, that's a lot of work for you.
Yeah, it is. But
you got 3 kids, that's 5 people and a dog.
Yeah.
And to get everything together for what you need.
Lacey will have everything organized and set to go.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And I think they'll meet me at work, and then we'll drive in.
That'll work out a lot better, Paul. That way, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For her too. Like I say, there's 5 and a dog. So
keep it interesting.
Yeah.
So one thing, before we get too far into it, a little bit of current events. So I don't know if you've heard, I kind of mentioned it to you when we were going up to bring the camper, but the Federal Department of Fisheries and Wildlife is outlawing or planning to ban lead shot on all federal wildlife reserves.
Right.
And, it's every time you see something like this, it's the same old song and dance.
Yeah.
Trying to,
they're squeezing us in every direction.
One more thing to try to increase a barrier to hunters getting involved in the sport and participating in the sport. Because you figure, if you start banning lead shot in one arena, and if it expands, say, into a global or generalized ban, then you're looking at more expensive shot, more expensive ammunition.
Yeah.
Increases the expense to hunt, which then increases the barrier to entry. Because at some point, there's going to be people that, well, it's just not worth my time.
Right.
They're worth the effort to do it. And so, they say they follow the science, but then don't cite the actual science that they're following.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, hopefully it stops there or doesn't go into effect or whatever. But you just always worry every time you see, one step closer to making it at least harder and harder for people to do it, that you're just going down a slippery slope.
Yeah.
So something I think, we all need to be aware of. You weren't aware of?
No, I didn't. I didn't realize that. And like I say, I don't watch any news or anything, but I do read a lot of outdoor publications, and they certainly carry that stuff in some of the magazines that I read and stuff. So, but I didn't notice that.
And I get caught up. When I first read it, I read it a while back, because I think it was back in June or whatever that I'd first read about it. And my first inclination is, the first thought that pops in my head is like, well, no big deal for me. I hunt private land.
Right.
I don't hunt any public land, so whatever, it's not going to affect me. But as you sit there and kind of think about it, I'm like, well, if you sit there complacent long enough, and I'm sure enough people are just like me. They're like, well, it doesn't affect me, so whatever.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Sometimes we do that, and that's complacency, and we say, well, it doesn't affect me, but eventually it will. Yeah. They'll get to the point that it will affect you, and and if we stand by and
let it happen, then
let it happen to somebody else when it happens to us.
Pretty soon it's biting on our heels on something that's close to us. So again, that was my first inclination was like, well, whatever, it doesn't affect me, but I guess indirectly, it does.
Eventually
it will.
Yeah, so that's the way the world works. Eventually, if you don't stand up for what you think is right, and it'll eventually get to you.
So I need to be more cognizant of being more active and stuff like that, instead of just sitting
I'm
there.
Guilty of that, Paul.
Oh yeah,
just kind of live my life, and
I like to be in my bubble.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I live in.
I like to do my thing, and it's definitely not my strong suit to be out and about in the midst of that stuff.
Yeah,
especially
being an activist or being a voice. Yeah,
yeah. So anyway, so I guess enough of that current event news. Junk.
Any other current events that are going on? That
there's all kinds, but probably nothing pertinent to this channel. That I read.
Some changes in the fishing laws up here we talked about. We won't get into that, but they
won't.
They could affect us. That in a positive way. Opening up more into past what when the season used to close, September 30th.
So we talk about not being able to hunt on Sunday up here.
Yeah,
but we might as well utilize that day and go fishing on Sunday.
Yes.
So there's been some expansion in the season, fishing season of a few areas.
We won't say when and where, but
but we'll probably
take advantage of it. Yeah, we should.
And it was a tip actually from, it was funny, retired biologist, Arlen Lovewell.
Yeah.
He had mentioned it to me. And when I spoke to you about it,
well, I brought it up.
You actually brought it up. And I was like, well, gosh, Arlen was telling me to talk to you about this.
Yeah, I just, in fact, it wasn't too long ago that I got wind of it, Paul. So I picked up a fishing law book, and sure enough, I looked it up and found out what those regs were. And it's something that we could take advantage of.
So we'll do some hunting 6 days a week and continue to fish. It's open right straight through
the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liberal bag limits and stuff. They want fish removed. So
so we'll try it out.
Yeah.
Maybe get some video of it. Maybe have some good fish.
It would make a good video.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It might be a little cold.
Well, that makes November, a good video too.
Sunday.
So,
that would be great. Imagine shooting a deer.
Yeah.
Then going down, shooting a deer at deer camp, and then going down Sunday and going fishing.
Yeah.
Catching some trout or some salmon. Can't keep any trout.
No, after September 30th, you got to release the trout, but the salmon are legal. So.
All right. Well, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the finding game when it's hard to, or finding game when
game is scarce.
When game is scarce.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we've dealt a lot with in northern Maine is scarce game.
Yes.
Especially deer.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a person that when it comes to deer hunting up here, we have low deer numbers, still a fair amount of deer hunters.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way my brain's wired is I try to find the hardest places to access.
Yeah.
And I'm just notorious for, before I even try to figure out where there's deer or deer numbers.
Where there's fewer people.
I'm usually looking at a map trying to figure out where is there where is it less likely to find hunters?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've just always been like that. I love roads that are blocked off or ditched out.
Right.
That are long roads that go to nowhere.
Yeah.
Usually a dead end road that no one else would need to go down for.
Yeah.
And usually it was a road that was to open up access to a harvesting area. What were you going to say?
Most deer, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and almost all of the deer trackers that I listen to on podcasts, they do the very same thing.
Yeah,
in the Adirondacks and everywhere, they're not above getting many miles off the road. Yeah. They'll tell you that in all the years they hunt, they see very few people.
Yeah.
That's a common thread among deer
I've
trackers.
always said I'd rather hunt in a place with very few deer and no people than a place with lots of deer and lots of people.
Lots of people.
One, I've just never enjoyed hunting around.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing people when I'm out hunting. Not that I'm antisocial or I don't want to encroach on their hunt.
Right.
I tend to give people a very wide berth.
Yeah.
And want to stay away. And I kind of, just want to be off by myself.
And there's nothing, and fishing's the same way, Paul. Yeah. I mean, when we fish,
I'm not going to fish elbow to elbow with people.
No, if we know somebody's fishing an area or whatever, we generally...
Like there's some famous places out west I would love to fish that I've read about for years.
Yeah.
Like the Henry's Fork.
Yeah.
Places like that. But I don't want to have to stand on a riverbank.
Combat fishing.
Taking turns in a pool or like elbow to elbow someone. Yeah. That's just me. Some people don't mind it.
Yeah.
But it tends to be where people know there's deer, there's lots of people.
Yeah.
And
that goes without saying, that people want to be successful. They're going to go where the deer are. And
so I love roads that are ditched out.
Yeah.
Especially if there's no snow. Say if I'm going to go looking into an area.
Right.
I love it finding a long road that's ditched out, washed out, some sort of barrier, no reason to go down it. And I'll start there.
Yeah.
And go down way down in there. And then I also I remember I'd spend hours looking at maps, trying to find large parcels of land with no roads going into them.
Yeah.
And I just get curious. It's like I want to get right down in the middle of that and see what's there. Sometimes there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But I can probably guarantee there's not going to be many people.
Yeah.
In those areas. So yeah, I love places that I can find that are extremely hard to get to, require a lot of work. Because we're people of convenience.
Yeah. But the problem with that up here, Paul, and the problem now is that there's roads everywhere, so there's no large parcels of land you can
You have to hunt very hard for a large parcel of land.
There's no, and I understand exactly what you're saying. And so, like I say, in a place like the Adirondacks, you can do exactly that, but not here because everything is a small parcel. Even in the overall, it's all, wilderness or woods. But there's roads everywhere.
There's logging roads.
Everywhere. So you could head into a piece of woods that you think is pretty quiet, devoid of people, and go for half an hour, and you could come out on a busy logging road somewhere, you know, and people driving in from a different direction. And
the deer are scarce up here.
Yeah.
So 100% of the time, I'm trying to find kind of the hardest, crappiest places I can get into, keep people out. And when there's snow, it's a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, I could end up hunting anywhere.
Yeah. Wherever you find the track.
Wherever I find a deer track. But, you know, the harder something is, the more people it weeds out. We're people of convenience.
Yeah.
You know, we want things the easiest as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Not venture too far off of the road. And yeah, there's been a lot of times where I've heard guys say, well, yeah, there was a deer going down in that area, but man, that's a crap hole down in there. I'm not going down in there. I'll go down in there.
Yeah, I don't mind. And there again, you know, Paul, I think of the deer that you tracked, that you shot at last year. It probably started out in a crap hole, but it eventually went across so many drivable roads that you could see people on.
Yep.
You'd cross numerous roads once you put that deer, you know.
Yeah. That area we've been hunting, I get a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because
and these are good roads.
Because there's so many roads, and the deer in this area in particular, I've noticed, are really prone. They avoid the busier roads. They are so good. I don't know how many deer I've tracked where we've come up within like 50 yards of a road, and they'll parallel the road and they'll follow it.
Then you push them hard enough and they will go across.
Oh yeah. They stay just off in the woods until we come to a less passable road or a less drivable section, less busier section, and they'll skirt the roads. And I can pretty well predict, like that deer I was tracking last year. You know, we do a lot of road work. If we see a deer crossing the road, we'll go to another road over or another road over.
Yeah.
Usually we can shorten up the track big time.
Right. You don't want to be on a dead loop.
But one of the deer last year, he was headed into a pretty large piece of land, and the next road over was like the main logging road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty certain he's not going across that. So I'm pretty sure we drove in on the road that was off to my left going into this parcel of land. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty certain he's either in here or he's already gone, but he's not going to go down across that busy road. Not unless something's pushing him or something like that. And he didn't. He went down in there, and then I caught him about 3/4 away across that parcel of land. And then he still, when I was on him, he wouldn't go out across the He went right down to it.
Yeah.
And he got about 100 yards from it, and we hit some skid trails where you could see that main road, but he veered right back around and went right back up where he came from.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. So there's no snow, say this year, not a lot of deer. When I'm tracking a deer the year before, they bring you into all kinds of new places.
Oh, yeah.
That you end up with a list the following year.
You file it away.
Of all kinds of places you want to check out.
Yeah.
And we did it. We put a camera in a new spot this year.
Yeah.
Because it was where I chased this buck down across, and kind of a bunch of deer had funneled into the spot. And we actually went up there, was it 2 weeks ago now?
A couple weeks ago.
And there's an old scrape.
Yeah.
And the
deer are using it this year.
And I tracked him right down across it, and I didn't know about it until last year.
So what it was, that there was some does down in next to the lake.
Yep.
And they were bringing those bucks off that ridge. They'd make their circuit to where those does were, check them out, and so yeah, definitely. And now we know there's deer in there again this year, so it's definitely a good place to
put a camera up, kind of just play around with that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. Yeah, I'll definitely spend some time in there. Yeah,
and then I got a couple other places that I tracked deer into that I came into a pretty good pocket of deer where deer were spending a lot of time. And when I was tracking them last year, I was thinking, boys, next year I'm gonna tuck a camera down in here somewhere and just kind of poke around. And if we don't have snow, there was a nice little stream. It was good walking along there, and I'm like, no snow, I come down here and just kind of poke around,
still hunt,
and see what's up until early season until we get some snow. So tracking a deer, it can show you a lot.
Oh, definitely.
It'll teach you. You'll find you're not going to randomly walk out into the woods
Yeah.
and find a lot of these spots, but you chase a deer for a day or two.
They are.
He'll reveal all of his little secrets.
Right, and they're going in places that they travel on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Or where there's other deer that that hang out there. So
I don't know how many deer that I've tracked where I'm on a buck's track and I can see where he has been, like, say 3 days, 3 days prior.
Yeah, see his old
couple days prior. And I'm like, he's got kind of a loop that he's doing.
Yep.
And he's kind of hang out in the same area, checking the same pockets of deer. And so, yeah, you catalog those back in the back of your head. You got all kinds of little cards in your back pocket to go check out when there's no snow, not a lot of deer.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's a couple other spots that I'm looking forward to this fall to checking out, and trying to think of when a time we can get up, check those cameras. It's been a couple weeks now.
Well, certainly during bird season, I'll have plenty of time next week to bird season starts Saturday. Today's Sunday, so in about a week, and after that, I hope to spend a lot of time up there. And and there again, if there's not a lot of birds, it'll be a good opportunity to get out and scout for deer. It's always enjoyable. I enjoy being out. So, and just even if I just carry the gun and enjoy a good walk or whatever, and looking for deer sign.
And I know a lot of people are pretty analytical about prepping for deer season, or going through maps,
right?
And hunting terrain features and all this stuff, and that's fine, to each their own. My approach to deer hunting is a little bit different, just because I feel like I spend every day being analytical with stuff, with my job and whatnot, that it's kind of a breather to just kind of let things happen organically.
Yeah.
And I mean, do your homework and try to make the best decisions possible, but I just don't feel to go over maps and stuff for hours on end.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, where predicting deer behavior, and some people go to extensive lengths.
Yeah. I don't know if that would even work up here, Paul, because I think
I'm a believer it wouldn't.
I think a lot of those people are dealing with mountains and stuff, and saddles, and we don't have that.
Natural barriers.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
We don't have any of that. We just know where deer have spent time before, and that's generally where we're gonna, And
I think it's easy for people in areas like this where we hunt, is they read all the books and stuff that are telling it, how to find where deer are being funneled, where they travel, bedding areas, blah, 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 blah. And it just isn't applicable.
No.
Up here.
I have never up here looked at a map to try to figure out where deer might be.
No.
I look at maps all the time because I know where deer have been in the past and where I might want to hunt, and it'll give me an idea of certain features, maybe ponds and brooks and rivers and lakes, but I've never looked at a map to say, oh, this is a logical place that, where I'm going to find deer.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
No.
And I don't, and after doing, it's not something I think I've overlooked or missed out on, because I've never found deer where I could look at a map and say, well, that makes sense that they would be there.
Yeah. I feel like
not once.
No, I feel like I can look at a map and just be like, there's a deer there.
Yeah.
It's like, could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be pretty random.
Yeah. We know where deer have been in the past, and then I go over maps. I might want to see where trails and roads and stuff are to plan a hunt in that area, how I could approach it or whatever. But I've never looked at a map and said to try to find where a deer might be.
No.
Not once.
No.
And our terrain isn't such that I don't think it lends to that, because we don't, like I say, I think a lot of these people are looking at saddles and big mountains and stuff, and we don't have that.
We don't. So it can be and as a kid, I can remember reading those books, and even as a kid, I was kind of, I don't want to say confused, but it just didn't make sense to me, because I'm going up with you guys hunting in big woods, and I can remember reading off, these guys were probably authors from, I don't know, Illinois, Ohio, places like that.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, bedding areas and feeding areas. And I just remember like, oh, that doesn't.
Yeah. They're hunting small parcels, ag land and stuff.
When you're 12 years old, you don't.
Yeah.
It's hard to tease all that stuff out. And you're thinking, I've said this before, you're reading it and thinking, well, this is the
not
expert.
where we hunt. Not the way we hunt.
As you get a little more experienced and
you
just kind of do what works for you and move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to deer hunting anyway, and bird hunting, so like this year, I don't want to predict it's going to be slow, but it's looking like it's not going to be
all
as
indicating
easy
everything we've heard. We haven't heard one positive report about the bird.
So I'm a big believer in hard work.
Yeah.
Even in life in general.
Yeah.
It'll lend itself.
Yeah.
It'll give you an upper hand.
Yeah.
On so many things if you work hard. So bird hunting. So birds are probably going to be scarce.
Right.
A lot of people in Maine like to ride the roads.
Yeah.
Drive their vehicles around. And in a good year, it's really successful because you get a lot of juveniles.
Yeah.
That are just dispersing. They're all along.
Yeah.
A lot of the roadways and stuff. And it can be pretty easy to
shoot a limit of birds.
Shoot a limit of birds in no time at all. But this is probably a year where you're going to have to put some miles on.
Yeah. And I like to hunt that way anyway.
Yeah.
I like to get out and walk. And I like to, there again, you eliminate, seeing other people.
So I look when we were driving up, I kept saying to you, like, oh, a lot of good roads to walk down. You can't drive them.
Right.
They make easy walking.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of good roads to walk.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I like to hunt. And and we're capable of doing it and enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's not an effort for us to walk 5 or 6 miles or whatever.
We'll shoot birds going from point A to point B.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
But get out. So this is a year.
And I do use a map for that. I get maps out all the time and try to find roads that,
Okay, yeah.
That I do that all the time, that I might find birds on where people can't drive. I do that all the time. And whether there's birds on there or not, it's a shot in the, you just got to walk it out and find, and that'll tell you, if they're there or not.
Yeah.
So,
and it's fun. You find a lot of things, you see a lot of things that you don't normally see. It makes me think back of, God, I was a little kid. Remember that fox?
That was a great story.
There was
a experience.
I wasn't old enough. I must have been 5 or 6.
You were under 10 for sure. Probably 6 and 6-ish.
I was little.
Yeah,
and I can remember just blips of it here and there. But we'd walk down a road.
Yeah,
and you shot a bird off the bank.
Yeah, we had one bird with us,
and we got to the end of the road. Right at Teed?
Yeah, came to a new road that they just cut. It was a fairly new road. We were on an old walking road, and we came to a new road, and we ran into that fox.
And he was a young one, right?
He must have been young. Because he must have been a pup.
Did he pick up the birch bark first, or was it you?
I can't remember. I know he got out on that road, and he was just like a dog. He would run down past us, grab a piece of birch bark off the road, and then come running, but like he was playing.
Going back and forth,
just like a dog. Where you take a dog out in the backyard, and they would run back, all right full of vim and vigor.
I remember I was nervous at first.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the neatest thing.
And so we played around with him there for a little bit. Then he followed us.
We started back for the truck, and he followed us.
Yeah.
So I was walking, and you were behind me. And if I looked behind you, the little fox was walking right behind you, just like a dog, just like he was a pet dog. And I don't know if you remember this, that I took the wings off the bird. And the fox, he took them right out of my hand. I gave him the wings, and he took them. And then we were walking back, and he just wandered off. And that was...
well, I think he left where you shot the bird.
Oh, did he? Yeah, probably. I remember he just peeled off somewhere.
I can remember you saying...
Probably was it.
I remember you saying... Yeah. It may have been later that day or that evening. You were telling someone the story.
Yeah.
That he left us right where you shot the bird.
Yeah.
So probably got wind of.
But that fox was no different than a pet puppy.
Nope.
He was no different than.
So you don't see that stuff in the seat of a pickup.
No, that was the neatest thing.
A lot of cool stuff. So we touched on like hard work.
Yeah,
and that's something that will really separate you from others if you're willing to put in the time and the energy, even if there's not a lot of birds or deer.
Yeah.
I saw it you see it in so many aspects of your life. I saw it in school.
Yeah.
I spent a fair number of years in school, more than my fair share. More than I'd like to say out loud. And you saw a lot of really brilliant people fail out.
Yeah.
Because of they just didn't apply themselves.
Yeah. Brilliant's a pretty strong word. Maybe capable?
No, there was some
smart people.
There was some really like naturally just they were.
Well, it's 90% perspiration anyway, Paul.
They were smart. Well, when you get into really hard stuff, there's no just showing up at that point.
Yeah,
you have to apply yourself, no matter how smart you are. And
I follow some Navy SEALs, and that's a big thing in Navy. It's difficulty weeds out the weak.
Oh, it sure does.
Yeah, really
sure
quick.
Does. And a lot of those programs know that.
Yeah. That's what they're there for.
Oh, they can get to the.
That's what they're there for. They're there to weed out the. For sure.
So one thing that we've all heard about is, I'm sure you've heard about the 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
And there's a ring of truth to it.
Yeah.
And I think the most applicable part, and I've thought about this over the past few years quite a bit, is basically the rule is to be an expert in your field or
anything
skill, you have to have at least 10,000 hours of practice, of quality practice, and to be an expert.
Yeah.
So they say. Where the 10,000 hour rule applies, I believe, like ubiquitously amongst everything, is it definitely will make you better.
Right.
Right. You can guarantee, I think you could guarantee you'll be better than average.
Right.
At whatever it is. Is it going to make you like one of the greats in whatever field it is? I think it's given too much credit.
Right. There's got to be some talent involved.
So I really think where that 10,000 hour rule applies is to really be like, let's say the top 1%, the 99th percentile on something, like the best of the best, is when we all have natural talents and abilities.
Right.
Right. Natural gifts.
Right.
But we all have something we can do better naturally than others. And if you don't think you do, you just haven't figured out what it is.
Yeah.
And when you apply that 10,000 hour rule to something that you can just naturally do better than that, basically that can put you in the 1%,
right?
The 99th percentile.
Yeah.
And so let's say deer hunting or any shooting, any of that stuff. If you apply yourself, you can become way better than average. You may not be the best at it that's ever lived.
Yeah.
But you can you'll benefit.
Yeah.
You'll never go backwards. So in other words, like I always think, let's say if your average of doing something is like a 5, and let's say, you're like a 2, and you really bust your butt, practice, work hard at it, maybe you can get to be a 7.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But that same skill set, you may be a person that, say on average, is like a 5.
Right.
Or a 6. That person applies himself.
Yeah.
You can be like a 9.9.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So yes, the guys that put in the time and the hard work can really separate themselves from even someone who's mediocre.
Right.
They can, you don't have to have some God-given talent to be successful at anything.
There's been plenty of people that would tell you, great baseball players and stuff, that just said that they worked harder at it than the next guy. They knew they weren't the most talented, but they knew that if they worked hard at it and they had a passion, and that's so important. in order to spend 10,000 hours doing something, you would hope you had a passion to do it.
That's it. Getting those two to match up.
Yeah, you got to have you got to want to do it. You got to like it and really have a passion for it, or you're not going to spend the 10,000. It'll be miserable doing it unless you really have a passion for it.
No. Whether it's
playing a sport or playing an instrument or
I think it was, I don't know anything. If it was Mike Tyson that said this or whatever, but they're talking about discipline. And he was like, basically, it's doing something like you absolutely love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen it my entire life. People that had natural talents and ability, just wasted because they sidetracked with other things, didn't apply themselves. And on the flip side, people that were marginal at best,
they could excel at it.
Really excelled in some things.
Yeah.
Just because, man, they would put their nose to the grind and just pound it out.
Yeah.
And they were committed. Like, they're like, no, I can do this. I can figure this out. And
determination is a big thing in life.
Now, there's going to be limitations, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to have Shaquille O'Neal being an ultra marathoner.
No.
Or something like that. So genetically, physically,
right? You're exactly right. He wasn't.
He could probably be a good marathoner or a mediocre marathoner.
Yeah,
could do one. Back in his younger years. But what is he? 7?
Well, you're right though. You don't see many 7-footers doing marathons.
7 feet tall.
You don't see that very often.
He's not. Someone like that.
Is
going to be limited by their physical structure.
Right.
And so there's a lot of
their genetics.
There's a lot of influences on it, but he could learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess be successful, maybe not an elite, but so I think anyone, and it applies like I said, everything in life, and deer hunting and bird hunting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The harder you work,
the more successful you'll be.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're willing to kind of work through the pain and discomfort.
Yeah. I can remember there's a certain amount of people, the population, that they would tell you that deer hunting was all luck.
Yeah, no way.
And you don't want to get in an argument with them. You let them believe what they want to believe. But let me tell you, your luck will be proportionate to the effort that you put into something. These people that are successful every year shooting deer,
it's not by accident.
They're not lucky. No. They're committed to it.
Yep.
And like I say, their success is proportionate to the effort that they put into it.
Yep.
But I know a number of people who have said, and I just shook my head, man, you have no idea why these people are successful deer hunting. They don't go out there thinking they're going to be lucky every year, because you're not going to be.
No,
you're not going to be.
I mean, there are factors you can control.
Yeah.
And one of the most controlling factors with it is hard work.
It's time.
You can control.
Right. Put the time in.
You can't control where the deer is going to be or where you're going to catch them all the time and stuff like that.
But spend 90% of the time where the deer are.
Yep.
You want to spend, that's just a good use of your time. If you're going to put in the time, you're going to want to spend 90% of your time where there might be a deer, you don't want to be spending time where there's no deer or whatever.
Or in bed.
Yeah.
Or at home having lunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like I say, intelligent people would tell me that deer hunting was, and they said it, all luck.
No.
Being in the right place at the right time.
No.
Well, you got to be in that place.
Yeah.
The longer the amount of time you spend in that place, your odds are going up.
And I've always liked Hal Blood's little analogy, 2 points connecting.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
But you can increase the odds of those 2 points
spending time in there
drastically.
Spending time in there. If you spend enough time in there, the odds of those 2 point connecting is
pretty darn good.
Is going to be about 100% eventually. You will get a shot.
Yep.
If you work hard enough.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it happens in 5 minutes, and sometimes it happens
in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now I will say the hard work part sometimes can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like if things aren't happening for me, or I'm, things just aren't working out.
Work harder.
Then go harder and harder and harder, and then you can kind of it becomes counterproductive.
Not let it happen.
Yeah.
Trying to make it happen instead of letting it happen.
Because you're not going to outwork a deer.
No.
And I've been there before. Like, I'll just
outwork them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if they're moving.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter how fast you run.
Yeah.
You're not going to catch them through the woods. Something's going to stop them, or they got to slow down.
Well, I can guarantee you, I don't know about, I can't speak to every person on the face of the planet, but they're in far better shape than I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not out walking a deer.
It's amazing when you really push one, how easy they just
they can
put
go
some miles on.
Yeah, that's their life.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're an amazing animal.
Like I say, that we talk about finding game and stuff. And some years, you know, like I say, it may be a year where we don't shoot a lot of birds, but we'll enjoy the time anyway. It's a good opportunity to spend time with your family, your kids, and your wife, and maybe some friends. You know, different people, and so there's always a plus you can get out of it. I love spending time. And as you get older, you know, the success part of it doesn't mean as much as the participating part, you know, enjoying the time afield and time with friends and family means more to as we get older than when we were younger and wanted to fill our bag limit and stuff. Yeah. So
we're not hunting for complete sustenance.
No.
Although we really enjoy it, really value it.
And utilize it. I'm eating partridge stew right now from last year. As
awesome.
we got a pot of it in the fridge. I've had it twice this week, partridge stew. So I'm still enjoying the fruits of last year's labor.
Yep. You know, we talked about that on the way in. We mentioned, you know, back in the day, I don't think it was really necessary to hire a guide to moose hunt.
Absolutely not.
But nowadays, if you're not from the area and not an avid hunter in these areas, spend a lot of time here, then it probably is in your best interest. If you're going to invest some money in a moose hunt, go the extra.
I agree with you 100%.
And get a guide.
Yeah.
Because
today it would be a good, and not only to find it, but like I say, to get it out of the woods. Because there's not a lot of... It's going to make
the whole experience, increase your chances of being successful.
Yeah.
And then make the whole experience that much better.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. If you were even people in state now are doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they
20, 30 years ago, you know, it was pretty, I don't want to say, but it was easy.
It was a slam dunk.
You just showed up.
You're going to get a moose. If you put in a few days, you were going to get a moose.
I can remember people not getting one by Wednesday and being discouraged.
Yeah, I've seen people leave on Wednesday after Wednesday not having shot one, and that's
hunting a big game animal and being discouraged after 3 days.
Yeah.
Of not getting one.
And the success rate back then was in the 90 percentile type of deal. I don't know, the few percent of people that didn't get a moose, they probably didn't, you know, somebody get sick or died and they didn't come on the hunt.
Yeah,
back then there was no transferring, you know, it was,
no.
So, you know, it was just people who didn't show up probably.
Couldn't do it.
Because anybody that showed up and put any effort into it at all, and you didn't have to put a lot of effort in, you just get in the vehicle and the odds of you being successful were really close to 100%.
Yep.
We didn't worry about it.
I think Mom it was probably 20 years ago now when Mom shot that decent bull.
Yeah.
That was like, what, 7:30 Monday morning?
First morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually 2009, Paul, so it was 14 years ago.
Okay.
14 years ago, 2009.
That's when it was starting to get a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You weren't, because I remember you having a talk with her saying, you know, we're probably going to have to put a little bit of time in.
Yeah.
We're probably...
it was starting to get a little harder there. It wasn't like the 90s and stuff and the early 2000s. It had started to, but we're in a totally different place now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
I don't see any moose when I'm up there.
Nope. We spend a lot of time in the woods, bird hunting and deer hunting and stuff, and the amount of moose we see. And usually if we run into a moose ball like we did last year, it's off the road.
Yeah.
Tracking a deer, we'll run into them. But seeing them from the roads now.
I mean, I think it's twofold. They've been hunted long enough now. There's probably some behavior changes.
Yeah.
And then obviously drop in population.
Absolutely.
You know,
for sure. And the cuts aren't there like they used to be. The openings and stuff, a lot of that's grown up. So the visibility isn't, there's definitely at least a 3-part factor to that. And you're absolutely right there. They have changed their habits. They are much more road shy and car shy and people shy than they used to be. There's fewer of them.
Yeah.
And we don't, like I say, you don't have the long distance view of the landscape that you did 20, 30 years ago.
That used to be present along the roads.
Yeah.
Made it easy to spot them.
Yeah.
So next Saturday, you'll be bird hunting.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I remember last year, Paul, the first day of the bird season.
It's early to...
I drove in the woods and it was moose season. And after I went about a mile and ran into like 6 or 7 vehicles, I turned around and came out. I said, I'm waiting for, that was
Monday.
That was way too busy, way too many people for.
And I suspect it'll be like that this opening day. Because when we were up in the woods yesterday.
Well, maybe not so much because the opening day of bird season now is the last day of moose season. So maybe a few moose hunters will be gone.
Yeah. It may.
And what are left will probably be gone because they're discouraged, the ones that haven't filled their tag. So it may be, although it is on a Saturday and people, are off work.
Yeah. So I gotta hunt the first day, but I gotta work the first day, but I'm not overly bummed.
Yeah.
Because I'll go Wednesday of that week.
There's another thing that comes into play there too, Paul, that may keep the numbers down. Everybody knows the same information that we know, that it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of birds.
No.
With gas hovering around $4 a gallon,
there's
going to be a lot of people that say, yeah, you know what? Nah, maybe not. Maybe
I'm going to spend $100 in fuel to
go for a ride in the woods.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. So that may thin out. And you know how that works. If people don't think they're going to, if there was reports of a lot of birds, that you're going to see a lot more hunters. And and like I say, it's common knowledge that
could be a rough year.
It could be a rough year.
Yeah.
So that'll discourage some people right off the bat.
Yeah.
So maybe me.
No,
maybe I'll say I won't. Well, I'll go, but I may wait until the leaves fall or something until I really devote a lot of time to it.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
Bird hunting this early in the year, all the greenery.
Yeah.
Gosh, I remember, I think it was last year, I came into a bunch of birds and I'd shot a couple of them. And then there was a bunch more that went into they're like raspberry bushes and stuff. All those little,
you can't see anything right now.
They were right in there running around. I, for the life of me, couldn't. And I'm walking through there I'm like, they're right here. I can hear them.
Changes a lot in a few weeks.
And I'm like, I was like, gosh, in 2 weeks, I'd be able to see right through.
Yeah.
It was all like these little maple saplings and stuff. And I was like, God, a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And I'm a guy that likes to see birds off the road. So you can't do that first day, as you're not going to see anywhere off the road the first day. And it's a whole different hunt early compared to after the leaves have fallen. So,
So it'll be fun anyway. Can't wait to get out. And so, anything else?
Well, the only, we've, seems like every podcast we've complained about the weather, and we have had, since the last podcast, we've had a lot more rain, and the water is probably at historic levels for this time of year. But we got a beautiful stretch of weather coming this week.
I don't see rain in the forecast.
Full on sunshine and no rain for the long range forecast. So take advantage. I'm going to take advantage of it. Get out and maybe stack a little wood or something. And
that's another thing. I'm trying to get caught up on all my chores.
Yeah, same here.
Before hunting season, so I don't have to worry about it.
Haven't put my wood in because it's been so wet. Yeah. And now it's drying out. I'll be able to put that away. Maybe get a little more wood from a distributor and do some work. Get some work done.
Yep.
Put the fishing stuff away, the dock and the summer camp stuff. And get ready for hunting season.
So, all right. Well, good luck to everyone next week that's going to be out bird hunting, and hopefully everyone that's moose hunting has a good moose hunting week, safe moose hunting week.
I was talking to a lady I know. Her husband Danny is he's up at St. Freud at their camp, and they got a group there.
Yes.
So
today's Sunday, so there's a lot of excited people.
Good luck to Danny.
A lot of excited people with high expectations.
Yeah. I would certainly like to be one of them. I know you say, but
it's always that
anticipation the night before. I can see us at camp right now, Paul.
Planning everything out.
Yeah, having a nice supper and stuff, and so, getting our gear together, and that's all part of it. That's all the fun part of it.
A lot of people are doing that today.
Yeah.
So I'm envious of that.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
So, alrighty.
Yeah.
I guess that just about covers it.
Yeah, that's.
I guess that was what episode 15.
Yeah, I knew it was over 13. I didn't know what number it was. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
See ya.